Okay, so I think I just fixed it so I can upload for longer videos than just the 15 minutes at a time, but hopefully just one more of these, because if you're pausing at the right times and writing down notes, half an hour of this probably should translate to about 90 minutes of actual time. So, all right, example 4. Looks like it would be version 2. Two pairs of opposite sides are congruent, but they're not opposite. These two aren't the same, so this would be a no. We do not have enough information to show that those are parallelograms. All right, so the next couple ones kind of feel more like what we were doing before. This isn't proving that they're parallelograms. I am trying to make them parallelograms by figuring out what x and y have to be. So if these two opposite sides happen to be congruent, then it would be a parallelogram. Now, if you think you know how to do it, pause me and try it, and then see if you were right when you unpause. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to set x plus 5 equal to 18, because the opposite side should be congruent, and then you solve. Move over the 5, x equals 13. And then you're going to do exactly the same thing for the y's. So the opposite sides here should be congruent, so you can set 5y minus 4 equaling to 2y plus 8. And then we get our y's on one side, subtract over the 2y, and you get 3y minus 4 equals 8. Move over the 4. That's interesting. And you get 3y equals 12, and then divide both sides by 3. So y equals 4. All right, example 6 is should be raising red flags again. So we have the squareds again. Now, I'd love to do something with the y's right off the bat, but I don't have opposites, and I really don't want to add these two together instead of equal to 180 because, well, that's not going to be fun, or the other ones. So we're going to have to start with these opposite angles being congruent. So hopefully you're realizing we're going to factor, so maybe write small here. I'm going to go all the way over in the right top left corner. So 2x squared plus x minus 10 equals x squared minus 2x plus 8. Okay, so just like our last set of notes, we got to make sure we have to get all of the x's on one side, probably so the x squared stays positive. So move over the x squared here, add over the 2x, subtract over the 8, and then combine like terms going straight down. So 2x squared minus 1x squared would be 1x squared. 1x plus 2x is 3x. Negative 8 minus 10 would be negative 18. All right, and then we do a times c, giving you negative 18x squared. We have to set that equal to b, which is our 3x. All right, so we're looking for two things to multiply to give us 18 and add up to 3. So if you remember how to factor, please pause this and try to do it. If you don't, follow along. But after every step that I do, you should pause it and make sure that you write down your work. So the two factors of 18 that get me 3 are going to be 6x minus 3x. Positive 6 times negative 3 does multiply, get you negative 18. And does add up to 3x. So these two sides are the same, and I'm going to put them right where that 3x is. So the 1x squared comes down, but then instead of 3x, I'm going to add in 6x minus 3x. And then the minus 18 comes down. So just always double check. Are these two lines exactly the same thing? If they aren't, then you made a mistake. All right, our next step in factoring, now that we got 4 terms, is we're going to group them. And out of 1x squared and 6x, we're going to take out an x, leaving us with x plus 6. And out of 3x minus 18, negative 3x minus 18, I'll take it out negative 3, leaving us with an x plus 6. These two terms are always going to be the same, and that's one of the factors. And then whatever's left ends up being the other factor. So x plus 6 is one of them, and x minus 3 is the other. And the last thing we got to do is remember this is all equal to 0 the whole time. And so we set each of these equal to 0. So x plus 6 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. And you solve each one separately, and you get -6, and you get +3. Now the last thing we got to check is, do they both work? They both could work, could have two answers, or one of them maybe makes the angle negative. So we're going to check. And we do need to figure out what each of these are, because we got to figure out what the heck y is. So we're going to make this a little bit smaller. Doesn't want to let me make it smaller. Okie dokie. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make this guy even smaller. Okay. So I'm going to type in 2 parentheses, but instead of x, I'm looking at the top left corner here. I'm going to put in a -6 squared plus, instead of x, I'm going to put in -6, and you should try this on your calculator as well. -10, and this does give us a 56. So option number 1 is this is 56. Now I'm going to just do the exact same thing. I'm going to move up, and I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to change all those -6s to +3s. Change 6 to 3s, delete out the negatives, and then I get 11. Both 56 and 11 are valid options. They're both positive. It's annoying that we have two answers, because now when I try to solve for y, I have two different things that I need to set this equal to. All right, so hopefully we wrote small. I don't even know if I wrote small enough. So let's start with a 56. That seems like the better version of this. So I'm going to set 56 plus 5y minus 11, minus 10, not 11, equal to 180. Because these two sides have to be supplementary. So they're not equal to each other even. They are adding to 180. So this would be 5y plus 46 equals 180. Subtract over your 46. 5y equals 180 minus 46 would be 134. And y equals whatever the heck 134 divided by 5 is. Come on. So that gives you 26.8. All right, so example 6 is all sorts of fun in all sorts of ways, because now I hope we realize that we have two options. It was either 56 or it was 11. So if that angle works out to being 11, I've got 11 plus 5y minus 10 equals 180. So 5y plus 1 equals 180. Subtract over the 1. 5y equals 179. Divide by 5, and you get y to be 179 divided by 5. And that would be 35.8. All right, so there are two x's and there are two y's. Now, it's not any combination of x's and y's. So if x is -6, that gives us the 56. So we have -6 and y equals 26.8. Or, so that's one outcome, x equals 3 and y equals 35.8. So do want to kind of keep them together, because it can't be that x is -6 and y is 35.8, because the different x's arrived at different y's. That problem was a lot. So the good thing about this being a video is you can back up and see the steps again. You can even possibly slow down my voice on YouTube and see if you can't make more sense of it. The geometry on this is actually not much. So just kind of an overview really quick. Like, the geometry is setting the two opposite angles congruent. Right there, that's geometry. We have a whole bunch of algebra all of this is just figuring out what the heck x is. So we set up an equation with geometry. We use all this algebra to solve for x. And then go back to geometry again. Geometry is going to be in purple. I know that these two interior angles are supplementary. So I can add them up to 180. So those three kind of lines up there on the top, that's the geometry in the problem. All the rest of that kind of work in the middle there, and the fact that we get two answers, that's all algebra's fault. So if you don't like the problem, don't hate the geometry part of things, it's the algebra part of things that's a little bit more there. All right, so what I got for you guys now is kind of two things. So I'm going to send you guys back to Schoology to look for a link. So there should be three things on Schoology. There's the two video links, and then there is a link for some quadrilateral practice on quizzes. So please do that, and then work on the homework, which is on the next page. Answers are on the bottom. If you have any questions on any of this stuff, or you think I was wrong, usually if I make mistakes on this, someone raises their hand and corrects me. But right now I'm in my basement talking to myself. So if I made a mistake, send me an email and I'll try to correct it and get back to you. All right, so go to quizzes on Schoology and then work on the homework, which is page 19. And be good for the sub.